Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about some new ColourPop products that are launching on Thursday, July 21st. In typical ColourPop launch fashion, these will be available on the site at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I don't anticipate this Play It Cool collection being a huge instant sellout. However, I do think that these Super Shock bronzers are going to see a pretty high demand. So if you're going to rush onto the site at launch time for anything, I would say do it for these bronzers. However, I believe that this will be a permanent product. So if the shade you want sells out, I have a feeling that they probably will restock these. I don't know that for a fact, but this does seem like a permanent product, especially because it's in the typical Super Shock cheek packaging. There's no special packaging, and that really leads me to believe that this is not a limited launch. I do like to give you the info and give you my thoughts as far as if I think something's gonna sell out or not. However, do not give in to FOMO. Don't stress out. I have a feeling they'll restock these if the shade you want sells out. If you are going to purchase anything from the ColourPop site, you can use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on pretty much everything on the site. Some exclusions do apply, but I know all of these new launches, my code should work for those. A big thank you to everybody who uses my affiliate code. It really helps to support the channel. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your face. And now I'm going to show you some products. We have this Play It Cool collection, and like I mentioned, we also have these Super Shock bronzers. Let's go over the bronzers first, because I don't really think these are a part of the Play It Cool collection. I don't know if they are or they aren't. I'm pretty sure they aren't. Let's talk about the bronzers either way. Let's talk about the Super Shock bronzers first.
We're going to take a close-up look at the Super Shock bronzer packaging first. There is a little special outer box. It's a little bit different from the Super Shock blush or highlighters. Just a reminder, these should not be depotted. This is a little cream to powder type of formula, and they need to stay tightly sealed in these little screw top jars. All 6 shades of the Super Shock bronzers we're going to see today have a matte finish. Because these are that bouncy Super Shock texture, it's not a powdery looking matte. It's almost like a satiny matte. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but it does have this beautiful, soft, buttery texture. Here's a close-up look at what they look like in the pan. That way you can just sort of get an idea for the undertone. Obviously, these are going to look a little bit different based on the skin tone that they're applied to. So I wanted to give you this just straight up look at the shades really close up. I wish there were more shades in this range. 6 does feel a little stingy. I wish we had more like 10 or 12 to choose from. But all in all, I think this is a really exciting release. I'm a big fan of Super Shock cheeks in general, so I'm happy to see some bronzer shades back. So this is definitely my favorite product for this video. You'll see it in action a little later.
Now let's move on to the Play It Cool collection. We have a Soul Body Powder, 4 blotted lips, and an eyeshadow palette in this collection. Let's start with the Soul Body Powder first.
Based on the current prices, I think this powder will be priced at $14 US. I forgot to mention with the bronzers, I think those will be around the $8 mark. This Soul Body Powder does have the typical Soul Body scent, that really coconutty, kind of tanning oil type of scent. This is a really warm, peachy gold type of color. Like many of their shimmering body powders, this is quite a sparkly, glittery finish, and it does have a bit of a shift to it. This can be worn on the body. You will see me apply it to my cheeks later on in the demo portion, but you can use this pretty much however you want to.
Next, let's talk about these blotted lip colors. There are 4 different shades. I'm going to show you close-ups, swatches, lip swatches, all that fun stuff with these new blotted lip shades.
Since the blotted lip is not a new product, these are just new shades, these should be priced at $8 a piece. These have the exact same packaging component, same size and shape, same formula as the previously released blotted lips. And if you're ever confused about the different lip finishes, I did sort of recently make a comprehensive video about all of the different ColourPop lip products, so you can always check that out if you want more information about any given formula. I'm going to show you some arm swatches here first, but I do also want to show you what these look like on the lips. These are quite a buildable formula, so you can wear them a lot more sheared out than I do if that's your preference. These also do fade pretty nicely over time, but when I do my lip swatches, I do show them really built up. That way you can actually see the color well on my lips. I do have decently pigmented natural lip color, and also this is just how I like to personally wear these. If I'm gonna bother putting a lip product on, I really try to get it to show up, so that's more of a personal preference, but I wanted you to see what these actually looked like on the lips, on a person. Hopefully that is helpful to you.
Last thing we're going to talk about is the Clay It Cool palette. This is very similar to a couple of other palettes in this square 10 pan style that they've done also with like a rock stone type of thing. There was Twist of Slate and Stone Face, and those are also neutrals, so this definitely feels like a continuation on that theme. This is supposed to be terracotta inspired, and the colors definitely go in that direction. I do think the Clay It Cool name is a little bit off for this collection. Naming such a very warm, orangey, coppery type of color scheme with the word cool in it just feels a little mismatched to me. I get the pun, like play it cool, clay it cool. They definitely have already played out this pun with Play It Jewel, if you remember the Mega palette. Obviously that doesn't really affect the quality of the product or anything, but it's just sort of something that I noticed. I feel like this definitely could have been better served with a different name. Let's take a close-up look at this Clay It Cool palette. I'll also show you finger and brush swatches. Quite a few comparisons. Probably could have done about 100 more comparisons because this is a warm, coppery, neutral palette. But I think you'll get the gist from the 8 or so comparisons that I'm going to give you in this video.
Here is the outer packaging of both the palette and the actual little cardboard box that it comes in. This palette should be priced at $16 US based on what the others of this similar size are priced at. And when you look at the back here, the box has the ingredients list, the actual palette doesn't. So just hang on to that box if you have any ingredient sensitivities. I do want to point out there are no eye safety warnings here, so that is great. Sometimes these red pigments can give us some issues in that department, so I'm happy to see that's not an issue here. There's no mirror inside, and we do have a small variety of finishes here. The shade Need You is a cream shadow. Then there are 4 shimmer shades and 5 just true mattes. We have no pressed glitters, no mattes with glitter. As usual, I want to show you both finger and brush swatches for this palette. These swatches are done on just my bare arm, no primer down first. I never use a damp brush, and for all the brush swatches I always use my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I clean that brush off with a Vera Mona color switch in between each shade. That way the swatching is done as consistently as possible. And speaking of consistency, this formula seems pretty darn good across the board with every single shade in here. Now let's get into comparison time. I could do a million comparisons for this palette, but I don't think that my arm would tolerate that many swatches. So I did want to compare this to one of those previous rock themed palettes, the warmer one called Set in Stone. Not really a lot of overlap shade-wise, but definitely a similar feeling. You can tell they're meant to be part of this larger neutral color story. Now, Lucky Penny does have quite a few similar shades. I would say definitely duped shades, and we are going to be seeing quite a lot of that during the comparison section. Here I combined two 9-pan palettes, so Apricot Me Not and Big Poppy mixed together. I just tried to pull the best shades, and these are pretty different. You could certainly create some very similar looks, but not a ton of dead-on dupes. The Double Entendre palette is one of the original 12 pans, and I think I remembered this being a lot more orangey in my head than it looks here. Compared to Clay It Cool, it's a lot more brown neutral versus an orangey neutral. Still pretty similar though. Same for California Love. I actually think California Love has more of that coppery orange undertone than Double Entendre did. So for sure a lot of similar looks coming from this palette, and a lot of decently close, if not duped shades. Next we have the Whatever palette, and this one has maybe not quite as many matches as Lucky Penny, but definitely more than Double Entendre. So comparison wise, it's sort of in the middle for me. When it comes to doing neutral palette comparisons, you basically have to split hairs. Determining the difference between similar and the same with warm neutrals is sometimes feels like an exercise in futility. So all in all, these are all really close. If you have any of these other comparison palettes, then you likely have these exact shades or pretty darn close to the Clay It Cool shades. It's really up to you if you feel like this is going to add value to your current collection or not. I'm not really here to judge you either way. I'm just giving you the info. Do with that what you will.
Now I want to show you these products in action, particularly the Super Shock bronzers. I've seen a lot of people commenting on my Instagram posts that they have struggled with the Super Shock cheek formulas, and I'm going to show you how I use mine. I've done so before in the past with the Super Shock blushes and highlighters. Bronzer, I use the exact same brush, the ColourPop stippling brush, but any synthetic bristle stippling brush will work for you. I've seen a lot of people say that they can't pick up any product with a brush, and I have a feeling that they're probably using a brush that's either not stiff and dense enough or that has natural fibers. You just want a brush that's not too floppy and not made out of natural hair, and you should be fine. You could also apply these with your fingertip and just blend it out as if it were a regular cream bronzer as well. But I think the stippling brush makes it really, really easy to get a nice diffused look on the face. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And of course the eyeshadow palette and other things from this collection. So let's take a look at the tutorial now, and I'll wrap up all my thoughts on this collection along the way.
I'm actually going to use two different Super Shock bronzer shades. I'm starting with the lightest one. This is Get Sandy, and like I said, it's really easy to pick up this product, any Super Shock product, on a synthetic stippling brush like this. It blends on so easily, and I am not wearing a ton. That's just not my personal style, but you can see this goes on and lends a nice sunny flush, a nice warmth to the cheeks very, very easily. So I did want to show you this lightest shade first, Get Sandy, and I also wanted to show you how easy it is to layer and build these Super Shock products. So I'm taking a little bit of this I'll Bet shade, and I'm going in with just a little bit more depth and warmth around the outer parts of the face. This gives a little bit more dimension, a little bit more sculpted look to the face, if you will. And also, I have often been accused of overdoing it with the cheek products, and I do not plan on stopping that trend anytime soon. But I think this looks beautiful. These are by far my favorite thing from today's video. I will absolutely be using the life out of these. I love them. I highly, highly, highly recommend these. I just wish that there were more shades. I'm also going to add a little bit of this Soul Body powder to the tops of my cheeks, just for a little shine, a little sparkle. You know, I love a casually sweaty cheek, and this does work really nicely with the bronzers. I'm not really big on body makeup for me personally, but I will add just about anything shiny to my cheeks you put in front of me, and I think this looks lovely. Next, we're going to use the Clay It Cool palette for my eye look, and honestly, I don't think this is a bad release. For me personally, it's not super exciting because I just have these colors a million times over in my collection, and not just my larger collection, but my actual ColourPop collection. So I don't feel that it's really breaking any new ground. I don't really feel like it's that exciting, but I think it makes perfect sense within the context of these other neutral color palettes in the same format. And I do think that the formula here is really, really nice. So just because it's not an exciting color story release for me doesn't mean that it's bad by any means. It's definitely a really nicely curated and nicely formulated palette. And if you're really excited about this, or this is a color story that you need in your collection, then by all means, I do recommend this palette. It's very easy to use, it's easy to apply, it blended well, it wore well. I think it looks really great on my eyes here, and it looked great for many hours post-application, so I do think it's nice. I personally would get more excited about the blotted lips, so I would say bronzer is number 1, blotted lips number 2, palette number 3, and then the Soul powder is in 4th place for me ranking the products in this video just for my personal taste. And I want to give you a little tutorial bonus here. I'm going to use this blotted lip shade on my cheeks as like a cream blush. I know I mentioned earlier, I have been accused of putting too many things on my cheeks, and I do not plan on stopping that anytime soon. Look how cute this looks for just a soft little diffused flush. It worked well over my makeup. I think it looks really natural, and I needed just a little bit more color for me personally to round out this look, and this blotted lip gave me exactly what I was looking for. Super easy and super cute, I think.
That's it for this week's new ColourPop products coming out. I would love to hear what you think about these. Are you interested? Are you passing? Are you picking these up? Did you know, fun fact, did you know that these are not the first ever Super Shock bronzers? ColourPop actually many, many years ago had Super Shock bronzers, and they just slowly got discontinued and disappeared from the site. And now I think because they have so many new fans and new customers that this feels like a new product, but it's actually not. That's your fun ColourPop historical fact for the day. These are not a new product. New shades though, but not a new product. I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Day, July, June, when is it? When are we? July 21st. Nailed it. I don't know. I don't know what I was saying there. I'm sweating. It's hot. It's real hot. Ugh. I almost forgot to do lip swatches. I would be so mad if I did that. Mad at myself. This one matches my earrings really well. And a bunch of... Look how cute these little summery flower earrings are. I just added these to my Etsy shop and I love them. There's only a few of them because I had a hard time getting matching pairs for the flowers, and I probably won't be able to make any more, but I really love these. I think they're so cute. What was I saying? I think I need more caffeine. I'm clearly losing it. I have mentioned this before, but I studied Spanish in school and I have a minor in Spanish language, and I still practice every day with the Duolingo app. Obviously not sponsored. I I just like to use it. I usually practice either first thing in the morning when I wake up, like before my son wakes up, or at night after everybody else goes to bed. And I was practicing Spanish late at night and I had part of a dream in Spanish, and this feels like such a major win for me to be able to have a dream in another language. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I was just really excited by it. Curious if anybody out here speaks multiple languages. What language do you dream in? Do you always dream in your primary language, or is it always like jumbled up? I'm so curious about this. I just find it fascinating. In the 17, 18 years that I've been learning Spanish, I've never had a dream in Spanish before, so I just thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, kind of a weird side note, but why else stick around to the end unless you want to hear weird side notes. Okay, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being such a cool, cute, awesome human being and for spending some of your time here. And thanks to everybody who like checks out my Etsy shop and uses my codes and all that stuff. That's really nice. I really, I appreciate it. I dig it. I think that you're just truly the best. I don't care what anybody else ever says. I think you're awesome and I love your face, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye!